Good evening everyone, welcome to Nitai-Gaur classes. So today in this class I would like to share the knowledge about preposition that should be used in voice while changing from active to passive. So generally we are very familiar with using by whenever and wherever we change voice from active to passive. But there are many more prepositions which can be used in place of by, and there are so many verbs which take different prepositions. So in today's class I'll discuss in detail all the very information about preposition. Okay, before going to discuss, I would like to also share some basic structure of passive voice and what are the important steps to change voice from active to passive. Okay, so here you will be seeing the first step for any for to change voice from active to passive. What we have to do, we have to apply first step. The first step is identify tense. We have to simply first identify tense. Just like here I have written a sentence, he teaches me a grammar. He teaches me a grammar. This is a sentence which is a assertive sentence. Okay, now here first step is identify tense. So I'll identify tense, and to identify tense we have to approach helping verb or main verb. Helping verb or main verb, with the recognition of helping verb or main verb we can understand which kind of tense is this. So there is no helping verb but there is a main verb, that is teaches. So teach is here main verb, teach is here main verb, but along with this is coming here es. Okay, which means this is present indefinite in which subject is singular. He teaches me a grammar, so this is a present indefinite tense. Okay, now moving to step 2. Step 2 is identify subject and object. So this is subject, here he is subject, grammar is object, and also me is object. But in this sentence there are two kinds of object. In this sentence there are two kinds of object. The first one is direct object and the second one is indirect object. Okay, now I'll also discuss in detail about what is direct object and what is indirect object, right? So here in general a transitive verb takes an object, but there are some verbs which takes two object. First object is direct and the second object is indirect. Okay, to identify direct or indirect object, what we have to do, in generally things come in direct objects, and person come in indirect object. Generally things comes in direct object and person come in indirect object, and there are some pronouns which can be seen in indirect object: me, us, you, him, her, them, name of person, etc. Okay, and there is one more way in which we can identify the object, which one is direct or which one is indirect. So to identify the transitive verb, what we have to do, we have to simply apply what and whom question. So the answer of what question is direct object and answer of whom question is indirect object. Just like I have written a sentence here, he teaches me a grammar. So what we have to do, we have to simply apply this question. I have applied these two questions, what and whom. So I have applied the question just before verb. Just like I have written here a sentence, he teaches me grammar. So I have applied this what question just before verb. What teaches? So answer is grammar. Now in next question I have applied whom teaches. So answer is me. So here grammar is a direct object and me is a indirect object. So thus you can identify the kind of object, which one is indirect and which one is direct. And in passive voice, or the passive voice of any sentence can be made with both these objects, with the help of direct object and using indirect object also. Okay, now moving to the next point, what we have to do in third step. In third step we have to simply interchange the position of the subject and object. Here subject, so what we have to do, we have to simply write object in place of subject. So first I will try to make passive voice with the help of indirect object. So here you will be seeing me. Me in objective case. So when me will be changed into subjective case, this will become I. This will become I. Okay. When me will come as subjective case, this will become I. And in previous classes, I have told you present indefinite tense generally change in is, are, am plus V3. Third form of verb. Okay. So I take am, and third form teach is taught. Okay. I am taught. Now when we are changing voice using indirect object, then we don't have to do anything with direct object. We have to simply write direct object as it is. I am taught grammar, right? I have taught grammar. I am taught grammar by him. Okay, by him. So that is how we have made this. Now using this one was using indirect. This one was using indirect object. Now using direct object. Using direct object. So grammar is direct object. So I'll write grammar in place of subject. Grammar. Okay. Grammar is a singular verb. So this will take is. Grammar is now taught. So when we are making passive voice using direct object, then we don't have to do anything with indirect object. So we will simply write indirect object just after verb. So I'll write here me. Grammar is taught me by him. Okay. So thus we can change voice from active to passive. Okay. Now, so the point is here will be seeing here are by. Here is by. Okay. So this is subject. This is subject which have come here, which is now object. Which is now object. This is also known as agent. This is also known as agent, or in active voice this is also known as doer. Okay. Now in place of by there are so many verbs which take different objects, which take different prepositions. Okay. So in today's class I would like to discuss in detail all those prepositions. Okay. Now what are the prepositions that can be used in place of by? Okay. So first I'll tell what are the prepositions. By, apart from by, we can use with, of, at, in. Okay. With, of, at, in, and, about, and to. And to. So these are some preposition that can be generally seen in passive voice apart from by. Now I'll discuss one by one. I'll discuss one by one. Okay. So let me erase this first. Now moving to next. So first one I would like to discuss about by. Where we use by. So generally we use by, preposition by in sentence where subject is doer, where subject is doer, where the action is being done by subject, where the action is being done by subject. So we use by when in passive voice just before agent or subject. Okay. And apart from by, now we will discuss one by one. Okay. Apart from by, we will discuss one by one. Okay. So first we would like to discuss about in. First I would like to discuss about in, right? So there are some verbs, there are certain verbs which are generally can be seen in passive voice which take in. So in which the first verb is interested. Interested. Also I'll discuss, also I'll explain with the help of examples, so do not worry, just be with me. Interested, after then absorbed, after then absorbed, after then engulfed, After then, consisted. After then, embodied. Okay, interested, absorbed, engulfed, consisted, embodied, and the one more verb is contained. One more verb is contained, and etc. There is not any fixed verbs. There is that only these verbs will take. There may be many more verbs, but these are the verbs which can be generally seen in passive voice using taking in proposition. Now we will use these verbs in examples also. Okay, so just like here is a sentence: this pot contains milk. This pot contains milk, right? So this is the sentence: this pot contains milk. Now what we have to do, this is in active voice, we have to apply these four steps. In first step we have to identify sentence. So we will identify this is a present indefinite sentence. Okay, in number 2 we have to identify subject and object. So this pot is subject here and milk is object here. This is subject, this is object, and obviously this is main verb, right? And the tense is present indefinite, and the tense is present indefinite, right? Now the third, in step third we have to interchange their position. So milk will come in place of subject. So milk we will write here milk, and we will ensure milk is singular or plural. So we will find milk is singular. So we will write here milk is. Now contain will be contained. Third form, we will use third form after is rm. So milk is contained. Now many students commit this mistake. What they do? They write by this pot. But the use of by here is wrong. The use of by here is wrong. What we have to do? We have to use here in. We have to use here in. Milk is contained in this pot. This is right. Milk is contained in this pot. Okay. Now one more example. Number 2. Okay, this job interests me. This job interests me, right? So this is sentence. Again we will apply all these four steps. First step, to identify tense. So this is a present indefinite tense. In step 2 we have to identify subject and object. So this is subject, this is object, right? This is main verb. Okay, now and we will interchange the position of the subject and object. So me is here in objective case. So when this will come in subjective case, so this will become